It's my privilege, really, to introduce to you one of our two very distinguished speakers, my longtime friend, a brilliant analyst, a brilliant man. His name is Ali Meli. Ali Meli is an Iranian-American financier who lives here now in the United States, from Iran originally. He's the founder and chief investment officer of Monachil Capital Partners, a private investment firm. Before Monachil, he was a senior partner in Goldman Sachs for 14 years, working in New York, London, and Hong Kong. This is a really distinguished thinker, Ali Meli. He has a double major in electrical engineering and management science from MIT. And last year, we were honored to give him one of ZOA's distinguished awards. He's appeared in all the major media, from Bloomberg and CNBC to the Schwab Network and elsewhere. This is really a special person to give us insights into what is happening in Iran, what might happen in Iran in the future, and what we can do to try and offset the nightmare that Iran is attempting to perpetrate against all of us. Ali Meli.
Thank you very much, Morton. As always, very kind. I'll start by giving a little bit of background on what triggered the most recent wave of the protests, and then how it even relates to foreign policy and Iranian government misadventures. And I'll try to be brief. So what triggered the protest initially was economical. It had to do with the currency. The currency lost half of its value, or like effectively 100% decline over a span of a few weeks, went from, quantify 75 to 1 to 150 to 1. And that triggered some unrest both in the central parts of Tehran, in the business districts, as well as for broader population. There were two drivers for that currency collapse that indirectly then tied to a lot of Iranian government foreign policy misadventures. One of them is that Iranian government and Islamic Republic government has a corrupt way of managing its currency, which is it gives government associates and government affiliated importers access to cheap currency, essentially. Like you can buy if you are affiliated with the government and support the government, you can have access to hard currency, i.e. dollars or euros, with the theory that you are supposed to use them to import goods. A lot of these imports, this was a very corrupt system, and essentially a lot of these importers, it has become so corrupt that a lot of those so-called importers just hoard the currency as opposed to just try to steal a little bit of money. They got super greedy and they started hoarding the currency, and then nothing was being imported, inflation was going up. Some of the other phenomena that we have seen in some other countries as well, when you have that level of currency controls and nothing gets imported. People just steal the currency at that point in time. The other factor is that the banking system has collapsed, and that's another realm of quasi-corruption. Especially there is an army and military affiliated bank that has collapsed. A lot of what government has been doing in the banking sector in Iran is to make loans to its essentially like IRGC affiliated people, and they never collect on those loans, or they weaken the currency to collect on those loans. So both of those phenomenon triggered the protest. Now they relate to Iranian government foreign policy misadventures because that's a way for the government to bust sanctions and to buy support from some of its proxies. And again, IRGC, essentially when they sent currency to Hezbollah, they used some of the Iranian banks, and they quote unquote make investments, or they force the banks to lend them money, but the loans are never paid back. So that economic mismanagement has created a wave of bank failures as well as currency depreciation that resulted in popular unrest. And initially they were economical, and then quickly and rapidly the people started protesting against the entirety of the government, and there was a strong also call for return of Pahlavi, or as people were saying, Javid Shah. So to some people, it could be viewed as the Javid Shah Revolution. Also, as people demands became more radical, the Iranian government showed its true color, and they used its proxies to essentially deploy military tactics against protesting population. Some credible estimates of death toll is in excess of 20,000 people, and I personally find that credible, not only because of what we are hearing in major cities. If you look at smaller cities, like, for example, small town of Malekshahi in western province of Elam. It's a very small town. And when you suddenly hear that in a small town, 100 people have died, or in one hospital inside Tehran, there are reports of 300, 400 dead people, you can extrapolate that, and it shows an death toll that would be in excess of 20,000 people. In our also what we are hearing is that government essentially invited people that were affiliated with Iraqi militias, Iraqi Shiite militias in particular, like Hashd Shabi, and then Afghan militias, as well as Hezbollah. And that was a tactic that the Iranian government had used in the past, just more to use them as police force. But now this time they brought machine guns, and they start to lure protesters over a course of 2 days, where they shut down the internet, and then they started mowing down people with machine guns in a span of really 48 hours to regain control, and as they call it, to reestablish security. And like, if you put all of these pictures together, you suddenly get an image of a government that raids banks, raids currency reserves to finance its proxies, and then uses that proxies when the economy collapses to go and kill local population, and people view it as a massacre. I personally feel very sad when I see that some Western media don't really take that loss of life very seriously at all, and they always seems to be worried about like what lies Hamas Ministry of Health says, but they don't care when the Iranian government kills 20,000 people in a span of really 48 hours, which is unprecedented. The aftermath of this chapter so far, and it's not a finished chapter because I think there is more to come, has been to establish a call for parliamentary monarchy in Iran. That was the predominant political demand of the protesters. And then the other thing is continued delegitimization of the Iranian government, where, at this point, there is no shadow of doubt around the security forces are there to attack people. And then the third thing that I find interesting was that Iranian government used a propaganda tool during the 12-day war, and I call it fake nationalism, which is they try to go and say that, create a rally to the flag effect that, dare someone come and kill IRGC commanders? Why did Israel kill IRGC commanders? And now, that has changed. Essentially, that propaganda policy has failed because many Iranians are saying, why aren't our IRGC personnel still alive, or why our Quds force that coordinates these foreign proxies is still alive? We want a foreign government to come and kill them, because otherwise they'll come and kill the Iranian population. And that loss of legitimacy, I think, is going to take a huge toll on the Islamic government in the future.